Welcome to the Grow Your Practice podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Chad Madden, owner of Madden Physical Therapy and Breakthrough. Join me each week as we dive into the best practices, systems, principles, tips, and tricks to help you grow your private practice. Hey everybody, Chad Madden here with the Grow Your Practice podcast. And today we have a very special owner. I'm super excited about this. Alexander Wielohorski with Advanced PT in Alaska. Super unique story about how Alex came into the PT world. And welcome to the podcast here, Alex.
Thank you for having me. Happy
Awesome.
to be able to share my story.
So would love to, and I know you've shared this personally with me, but would love for you to share, how did you get into physical therapy? Because you're not a physical therapist clinician, but you're in the business of PT.
Yeah, so I started in PT 3 years ago, and that wasn't something I planned or something. It was within the scope of my career when I started, or when I was looking into my future. I'm a mechanical engineer from background. I have a master in business, and I've always worked for big industrial companies. So automotive first, and then I started working for airlines and airports. And up to 3 years ago, I was managing airports in South America. My brother-in-law, more than brother-in-law. I mean, he and I are married to a couple of sisters, so we're very tight family. He's a physical therapist, and we spend a lot of time together. We're great friends, and he moved up here to Alaska to work at this physical therapy clinic in 2018. I came to visit in 2019, and during that visit, we got to sit with the original owner and founder, Valerie Phelps. She founded this company 23 years ago, and they were talking about the struggles they were having in terms of managing the business, growing, finance, that kind of stuff. And I told her at that time, can I see some of your financials? Let's see what I can, maybe I can give you a look. And I pointed some stuff out that she found relevant at the time. She was starting to looking into retiring. So I would say that 6 months later, I got a call from my brother-in-law saying, hey, she's going to retire. How about we join in this business? I would like to do it, but I would like you to join me and, help me on the back end. And I figured, well, that's just, good opportunity to become independent, to have my own business. And I said, how hard can physical therapy be after I'm managing airports with, 30,000 employees and a lot more space and equipment. And it turned out it's actually harder. There's way less resources and way less processes defined, and there's a lot of things to do here. So I took that bait. I came up here to Alaska in 2020, and we took over the clinic at that time. So June 2020, mid of the pandemic, which actually made it worse because we were negotiating this through 2019. So I had to just hit the ground running to keep the business open. And so I pretty much, our clinic is owned. We're 4 owners at the time. Right now, we got 2 who are PTs. My brother-in-law, the other is a more senior PT. He's been with the practice for the last 20 years. And the CFO and I actually work as a COO in this case. So I took over the marketing, the operations, and we've been trying to, for the last 3 years, make this group turn into a growing practice instead of just a stale practice where it was.
Yeah. Great. So let's go back to 2018 when you first looked at the number. That was 2018, 2019 when you first looked at it.
2018, yeah.
Yeah. So what was the practice like then that you remember?
So the practice it's a big group. It's actually the biggest privately owned group of PT in Alaska. We have 5 clinics at a time. Now we have 7 with 2 satellite locations. The major issues that we're having is same issues we're having today, although most of them, which is rotation of staff, not having enough staff to grow. But there was a point where when the clinic started, there was a lot of work put into, establishing within the community, getting in contact with the referrals, how that is, going to the doctors, making sure you're getting a patient flow. Once that volume began and the clinic grew to a certain size, they kind of stopped. At that point, all of the owners were were PT. So they were happy that the clinic had grown, and they just turned back into doing their service to the community through PT, but not into keep growing the business, or where is this going? So bigger groups or more of the national groups started coming into Alaska, and then we started having some competition there. And I could tell that revenue was decreasing. That was evident because of many things that we already know, not only the reimbursement being cut, but also due to competition, we were getting less patients. So my first job with there, or what I said is, well, we got to start doing some community work again to establish ourselves as the experts, to be able to get patients through the door, to be able to increase our volume and make sure that we're utilizing the space as much as we can. Because one of the questions I ask is, well, do you know exactly how much money you can make with the space you have right now? So what do you mean? Well, pretty much what you're doing as a clinic is renting space, right? And actually, it was funny because their face was like, "What do you mean? No, we do physical therapy services." So, yeah, that the service is great, but how much more can you grow? What happens after you fill all of the rooms? Well, we need more space. Yes, so you're renting space per time. In this particular case, was 1 hour per patient in each treatment room. So we can calculate quickly how much money the group can make with the current facilities, right? And then we can see where we are. And then, well, what do you need to grow to that? At least 75% capacity or 85% capacity of your space. So that's how the discussions began into utilizing the space and seeing it as a business and not only as the service that you were providing.
Great. So you mentioned the gap, right, between your experience of managing 30,000 employees in an area. Where are we at in South America?
So I was located in Chile, but I manage everything from Ecuador, Peru, Chile, of course, and Argentina for the LATAM Airlines, which is the biggest airline in South America.
Yeah, got it. So, and when you came into PT, we don't have a lot of processes in place, many systems, and few resources. So, what was the most shocking thing other than the revenue per square foot
Well,
that we're not
what's
aware of?
funny for me is that I went into the meetings that they have with the clinic managers, and they were discussing proficiency. Okay. So this guy would say, "Oh, we had great proficiency this week. We had 93%." So, okay. And I asked the question, like, well, how many PTs do you have? So we have 2. How many can you fit in that space? Well, 5. So you got 2 that are at 93%, and then you got all the 3 rooms that are empty. So that's not good. That's like very crappy week. So they were like, oh, so we got to start looking at things differently, because you're looking at I got this group and they're busy, which is great, and that's good. But then once again, you're paying rent for the whole space, and you're paying all of those costs you have added there, and you gotta look into the proficiency of the clinic. That's great, but also the capacity utilization as a whole group.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of shift in that sense. That was my biggest shock. That, like, okay, you're not measuring the right stuff, and you're being content with some indicators, but they only show half of the picture.
Yeah, spot on. So, just in that example, if you have 2 clinicians, full-time clinicians that are 90% utilized or 93% utilized, I think is what you said, but you have enough space for 5 clinicians. That to me is like 36% capacity,
Pretty
right?
much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty well. Okay, I completely get it. I'm tracking you.
So I was telling, like, we might as well rent those space out to, I don't know, massage therapist or a psychologist, whatever you want to put in there, and that will make it more profitable. So, well, we don't want to do that. Of course we don't. We want to grow within the PT.
Yeah. So in that example, you talked about rotation of staff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in Alaska. I'm going to assume square footage is pretty premium, that you're paying a lot per square foot.
Yeah. There's so the key thing about Alaska, and I was just on a meeting a couple of weeks ago with the mayor of Anchorage, is that we have a rotation of people going on through the whole year. So there's people leaving and people arriving, and the balance is a negative one. We have more people leaving than actually arriving. So pretty much the population of Alaska remains the same, which is 700,000 people, but we got around 180,000 that rotate every year. So we know our staff are going to be here on a limited time, so they're going to leave eventually. Our patients are also rotating, so we get new people coming in, but some people that leave. So it's something that we have to understand that it is a status quo, and we have to deal with that. We're not going to be able to change that. So all of our recruitment and everything just goes in hand with understanding that they're going to be here for a period of time. We want to keep them as much as possible if they're good, but they are going to leave at some point.
Yep. So you said 700,000 people in the entire state.
Yep.
180,000 new every year.
Yeah.
So basically every 3 or 4 years, the entire population is new.
Yeah. The question when you meet somebody here in Alaska is, where are you from and how long are you staying?
Okay. Got it. So you're bucking the trend now that you're in your 4th year in Alaska.
Yep.
Great. So, having said that, recruiting therapists, is a national challenge. I'm sure being in Alaska has its own unique challenges as well. Can you talk about what that's like for you, what it was like back in 2018, 2019, how that's changed over the last few years, and anything that you can share in terms of it's beautiful, by the way. That I was just there a few months ago. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, I'm sure that wears off when there's 8 feet of snow on the ground.
Actually, over the last 10 days, we've had 5 feet of snow.
Wow, 10.
We've just been dumped on a full winter storm over the last 10 days. So we went from no snow to being buried, but that's pretty much it.
What's the weather like in Chile right now?
Actually, Chile is on the other side of the world, so they're in summer.
I'm aware.
So so it's probably 80 degrees and then dry. So
I got it.
Big change.
Okay.
So as you were saying, so recruitment before, surprisingly, we had people. So let's start from the beginning. There's no PT school in Alaska, which means every single provider we've brought up from somewhere else in the U.S. That's one thing. The second thing is that we used to have people waiting to come into a practice. We'll put up an ad, open up something in Indeed, for example, or Mebu, and people would actually, apply to that, and we would have 2 or 3 there. We will actually fly them up for interviews here, get them to see the clinic, do a more thorough process. During COVID, we lost, I would say, like 40% of the staff, which decided to go home, back to their home state. So that was a big hit, and we had to make do with what we had. So that was a big setback, and we were still trying to recover to the volume that we had or were able to manage before COVID. And then things pretty much changed to mostly travelers. The ones who wanted to come to Alaska were under a traveler contract. They wanted to come for 13 weeks, maybe 26. Some we were able to keep for a year. So we had to pretty much change our strategy to a more of a, what can I offer you that would make sure that you stay here for at least a year and a half? And then we will work from there. So we started working with universities, and we're part of a residency program. So come out of school, come to Alaska, do your residency here, and hopefully stay longer.
Yeah. So when you talked about working with universities, what were you doing there?
Pretty much we just we partner with the IOM. So there's some courses that are taught at university, or some universities that are tied also with the IOM with their program, the PT school. So what we do is that whatever courses they took already are part of their residency, are accounted towards their residency. So we want their top guns, so their best PTs, to pretty much compete for a spot to come to do the residency in Alaska, which is going to be paid for by us. So they get full salary and all the benefits and all the moving bonus and all that stuff we have to throw in. And they come here and they do a residency, which takes 18 months. What do we get? We get one of the best people at the school coming up here. We get to train them for a year and a half. And usually they tend to stay at least one more year after residency. So we know we can have them for around 3 years, 2.5, 3 years.
Nice. And what percentage of your staff is, say, permanent more than 5 years versus rotational?
Not much, around 30%.
30% are permanent. 70%
meaning that they've been with us for more than 5 years.
Yeah. 7 locations. How many total clinicians?
Right now we're at 37.
Okay. Yeah. Did the website and I was going to guess 35. So got it.
Yeah. So the website only has our, hired staff, not the travelers. We still are depending a lot of travelers. So we have,
Yeah.
I would say right now, must have around 10 travelers working
Okay.
with us. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So the other thing that you mentioned, Alex, is competition. Some chains moved in, some national players moved into your area, and you wanted to do community work and really increase demand for your services. Can you talk about what that looked like in 2018, 2019, and what you were looking to improve there?
So it has to do a bit with the marketing as well. So at the time, there was no community work being done or anything giving back to the community. It was just doing the service of the physical therapy and just the work and the relationship with the doctors and the referral sources and the partnerships with the pain doctors and the surgical centers and the or orthopedic doctors, that kind of stuff. One of my jobs I took when I came here is, well, I need to make sure that we're getting people into the door. And I tried as a non-clinician to visit doctors, and that was just slam door in my face, and nobody would see me. And those that would actually not take me seriously. So I figured, well, how can I jump over this? And that's where actually we got in touch with Breakthrough. We started doing the workshop, which was pretty much the idea of reaching out to the community, being able to do get our patients directly from the workshops and the marketing, and being able to get people through the door, not depending on the referrals, which we still do some work with, but
Got it.
try to steer away from that one.
Yep. So the physicians, you attempted to do that, and that was basically like a luncheon, like meet and greet with a doctor, and they
Yeah.
would, yeah, eat the pizza really quick and then get right back to patient
I
care,
mean,
just
what
completely
hurt
ignore
me
you.
was that I don't think we're getting referrals from those actions because we're good and we do a good job and the patients heal. I think we're getting referrals out of that action because they remember that day to just send me some people. And then next day, somebody else will bring them donuts and they get the referrals that day.
Yeah.
So I figured that wasn't pretty much what we're trying to do, more than actually show what we can do. And then now that we get the patient to be able to tell their doctor, yeah, but I want to go to advanced physical therapy, then we get the referrals directly from those who we are giving the service to.
Nice. So now you're running, with Breakthrough, you're running ads that are driving to a workshop. So this is cold traffic marketing.
Yep.
You're primarily on, I think you're Meta, right? You're doing Facebook and
Yep.
Instagram.
Instagram, yeah. And
And oh, you're in the TikTok now
yeah,
as
we're
well?
doing TikTok for the anchor location for now, and it's been pretty good, I gotta say.
Oh, nice. Good for you, man. So doing TikTok, driving people into a workshop, and you're running basically everything standard, 45 minutes to an hour educational content, and then converting those people that are cold traffic over to a paying patient.
Yep.
Great. So as the COO, in operations, and that being your specialty in the practice, what were the biggest hurdles, challenges for you to overcome in rolling out that program?
I think it was the cultural change of getting everybody within the organization to think about the efficiency and the performance of the practice of a business. You know, that everything you do has to actually be contributing to the practice revenue, not just, even though we're into the health system and medicine, and you have to be ethical about it, it's great, but it's still a business, it's not a charity. So having the front desk working efficiently, understanding that the value each patient brings, and refilling an open spot if somebody cancels, or making sure the schedule is full, and how that affects the business. Getting the PTs to understand that their time is valuable, but we need to be able to collect that, and that's what actually sets the value for their time. Whatever we don't collect is charity, and we're not in the business of charity. So all of the whole operation and making things work smoothly had to do with getting everybody in line with what we're trying to do at this time. And it's hard to steer a big ship. So we haven't been able to implement everything that I wish we could, but we're on the right path.
Nice. What's something that you want to implement that you haven't been able to do so far?
Cash paid services. We do dry needling, we do laser, we do old style laser, and we do blood flow restrictions and a couple other things that we're just doing pretty much right now for free. So we're running into that. The big change we did is that, and we're actually starting January 1st, is that we're switching from 1 hour treatment to 45-minute treatments.
Yeah.
So that was also a big cultural change within the philosophy of the clinic that has been running that way for 23 years. So, and then eventually next year, we'll start going into implementing those as well. And I got to say, one of the things that I changed in my speech when I was, pretty much preaching about the cash paid services was that they're not selling, they're prescribing.
Yeah.
And it's a mindset change for the PT, thinking I don't want to be selling stuff to my patient. So, well, you're actually prescribing it to them because they will see a benefit out of this. So that's what the next stage would be. When I started talking about this, I got a lot of resistance, of course. Like, well, we're doing it right now, and then the patient is going to complain that now they're going to have to pay for it. So, well, once again,
Yeah.
it's a business.
What are reimbursements like in general? And I mean, you can give a range in Alaska.
I'm
Are they
not the
fair?
best one to ask that for because I don't see those specifics. I do know that we get, I think it's around 120.
Yep.
Per visit. We do get more than the average within the whole of the U.S.
But your costs are significantly higher, right?
We're paying $90,000 for a new grad.
Yep.
Plus all the benefits.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the space is a little bit more expensive than the average.
Yeah. And supplies in general and cost of living here is higher as well.
Yep. Got it. So competition, you rolled out the workshop model. You've been doing that for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, we're starting our 3rd year.
Got it. And what's that meant for your practice to have that in where you don't have to go buy donuts anymore for the doctors, but you have people coming in and signing up for a workshop, getting educated, and coming in? What's that meant for your
I
group?
think it has been key to our recovery from 2020. It has boosted our numbers in terms of visits that we're receiving and filling the schedule. And also being able to compete with the hospital systems, which is, they have been our biggest competitor right now because they're pulling our PTs with better salaries. And a lot of doctors are now, or practices are starting to get their own PT in-house. So being able to be seen within the community as the expert, as we know what we're doing. We've been here for 23 years. We're locally owned and locally operated. All that stuff has helped us a lot into keeping patients that would normally tend to go towards the PT practice that their doctor set up in their own office. So.
Yeah. So you're educating the community. I'm doubting that the hospital is doing that.
Yeah.
And the POPs practice isn't doing that.
No.
No way. Right. Great. So you're differentiated in the marketplace. Very cool. Any other trends that you've seen in the last 4 or 5 years other than, the black hole of the pandemic that we went through? You talked about the travelers. Anything else that you're seeing within the industry? Because you're coming in with a fresh set of eyes, working in other industries as a mechanical engineer. So anything else that you see that we should be aware of?
I think that the biggest challenge is, once again, I think there's 4 pillars to this industry. And one is actually providing the physical therapy services. But the other is collecting the money that from the service you already provided from a person or an entity that is not the one to the service. So you provide a service to a party A, and then you're trying to collect from party B, who's an insurance company, and you actually make a claim. You don't send an invoice. You make a claim, which means that there's a percentage you're not getting. And then you need people to be able to provide that physical therapy service. So that's the HR and the recruitment issue we have. It's a big pillar for us. And then on top of that, you need marketing to be able to get people through the door to provide the service in the first place. So if you look at it that way, the service of physical therapy is only one of the four pillars. I don't want to put a percentage to it, but if you do that, you're still not making, I mean, you're still not assured a revenue or that your business is going to be good. You can have your clinic full and you still might not collect, or might not have enough PDs, or you might not have people coming through the door in the next couple of months. So the all of those four legs from the stool have to be perfectly set so that you're actually growing and you're stable to be able to survive a pandemic or some other financial change. And then the second pillar, which is the one from the insurance companies and collecting that, is not making it easier.
Yeah.
So with the cut that we just got, news from, confirmed, that's another hit. So now you got to be 3%, 4% more efficient this year just to make the same amount of money.
Yeah, brutal. Love what you did there, Alex. So just a quick recap on that. You have the treatment or providing the service is pillar number one. Number two is collecting for the service provided, making the claim. Number three, the third pillar is recruiting people, growing your team to provide the service. And fourth is marketing to attract people to provide the services too. Love that, man. That's great. So if people are hearing this and they want to learn more about you, is there some place that they can go or learn more about your company or anything else? Easy way to find
reach
you.
out directly through my email or phone. Happy to receive them. I don't have it.
What's your email?
It's it's A Wielohorski. So initial.
We'll put it in the show notes. We'll put it
somewhere there. And at aptak.com.
Got it. That's great. And that stands for Advanced Physical Therapy
of Alaska. Yes.
Yeah. Great. Alexander Wielohorski, thank you so much for being here. Any parting words of wisdom before we sign off?
Thank you for having me. It's been great. And I got to say, I wish to keep learning about this industry. I mean, it's very complex, and I didn't imagine it would be so when I started here.
Great. I do have one more question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Most influential book you read growing up that changed who you were?
There was a book, I forgot the name of the author. I'll get back to you on that one. It was called Execution, and it was the art of getting things done.
Nice.
And I got to say that my biggest role in every job I've had is actually is implementing and getting things done, because making plans is easy. Having ideas is great, but actually, moving forward every day towards, implementing your ideas, getting it done, executing, that is the key. So that was it. I read that book fresh out of university on my first job. And that was my first boss and actually mentor. He was a great guy. He gave me the book and said, you got to read this. This is going to be key. And it has been so until now.
Very cool. I'll have to check it out. Yeah. And we'll link that in the show notes for everybody. Alex, thanks again for doing this, man. You're great.
Thank you, Chad.
Are you a practice owner with a growth mindset? You're looking to grow your revenues, leave a bigger impact, build a legacy, and help more people in your practice, yet at the same time, you're dealing with the big challenges and headwinds like declining reimbursements, increased cost of doing business because of inflation, how to incentivize your staff, or deciding where's the best place to run your online ads. Growing a practice can be absolutely overwhelming. To help, Breakthrough has put together a unique offer that I think you'll be interested in. For a limited time, listeners of this podcast can schedule a risk-free growth consultation with a Breakthrough growth expert. On that call, you'll walk through what you're currently doing in your practice and what you could be doing to increase the demand for your services. Breakthrough's mission is to help people overcome their health challenges naturally. And the best way for them to do that is by helping private practice owners just like you through building more demand for your services. Go to breakthrough.com/podcast offer to take advantage of this unique opportunity. On that call, you'll learn the key principles of how practice owners are helping more people, creating a bigger impact, and building better businesses with Breakthrough systems. As an added bonus, the team at Breakthrough is giving a $50 Amazon gift card to any of the podcast listeners who attend the growth consultation. Sign up for your growth consultation and $50 gift card at getbreakthrough.com/podcast offer. Again, that's getbreakthrough.com/podcast offer.